Hi guys, this is Sam from Fluid Social. I've just finished the Warsaw Bootcamp over the weekend, and so I wanted to give you my two greatest insights from the clients that we had on some things that I really think are going to help you guys in your journey to improve your communication skills, whether that's for dating casually or if you're actually in the sort of partner acquisition phase where you are actually looking for wifey. So I want to take you through those two biggest insights right now. So the first major insight that I want to discuss from the bootcamp is something that I've been thinking about for a little while, which I call identity flexing. Now, what I mean by that is that moment when someone is new to cold approach, or maybe they're getting back into cold approach after a long relationship or after a long time. And very often the resistance comes in the form of, it doesn't feel right. You know, I will find a woman for my client. I'll say, look, this is your type, go talk to her. She's smiling, you know, I'll select based on indicators of openness, the types of opportunities that the clients would do well to go and approach. I'll find a great opportunity. I'll say, what about her? Even giving them the line. You could go up to her and tell her that she's got a very interesting style, the way she's combined these two colors, whatever, just to warm them up, right? Sometimes the direct approach can be intimidating at the start, especially if you're new to the culture, you don't know how people respond. And I received from two of the clients, I received a lot of this sort of, oh no, it doesn't feel right, right? And in some case, it's not me, it's not for me, it's not me, right? And so I want to discuss this idea, it's not me. So I want to go into that one, it's not me. This idea that there's a collection of behaviors or ways of communicating that are you, and a collection of behaviors that aren't you. Now, what do we mean when we're thinking about ourselves as me, right? It's not me. This is something that it took me a very, very long time to understand, and it happened in one moment as an epiphany. But here's the truth. All of the things that are actually you, right, that you could understand as your identity, those things cannot change, right? So I'm thinking your values, your beliefs, your morals and your ethical compass, the way that you think people should be treated, the things you believe about the world, right? Those things are unchanging in you. There is something out of your control, some genetic identity, I suppose, or for religious people, you could say some spiritual identity, some pure version of you. The rest of it, the accent you have, the words you use, the things you know, the places you've been, the confidence you have in flirting with another woman, that is not you, right? That is just a cultural conglomeration of behaviors and habits that you've learned from the people you're around, the way you were brought up, the places you've been. So it's very hard to conceptualize this, especially when you're in that situation and you're thinking, it doesn't feel natural. It feels like doing or saying that thing would be lying, would be a sort of affront to your true identity, that you would be faking, that you would be inauthentic and therefore uncomfortable, right? And it's because of the discomfort that we think we would be bastardizing our true identity. But I'm sure you guys watching this, and let me know in the comments if this is true, but I'm sure you watching this have felt that sense of there's something really uncomfortable about saying something that you don't feel congruent saying, in a sense, right? But the mistake is to then imagine that it would be fake on some fundamental level, that it would destroy a part of our identity, right? That it would destroy a part of who we are because we said something that doesn't conform to what we understand as our identity. But here's the important thing. You must flex your identity, this side of your identity. You must flex the things that you say, the behaviors that you typically exhibit, the ways that you typically communicate. You must test them, challenge the norms of yourself, because that's the only way we can discover and uncover the patterns and behaviors that aren't serving us. Some of them are, some of them aren't. When I started Cold Approach back in 2016, 17, when I was 19 years, just turned 19, I thought I was Sam, the quiet, nice, easygoing guy who blended in to the background, who everybody kind of liked, but never really got what he wanted or never really remembered anything. I got invited to the parties, but I was never top of that list. It was always, oh, he's friends with this guy and this guy. He comes along. He seems nice. It took me, and I thought that was the way I was, right? I thought I was stuck in this pattern of, I'm just Sam. I'm just this way. You know, I'm never going to be the fun guy, the flirty guy, the cool guy, the sort of ambitious guy, the motivated guy, the guy who dresses like this, the guy who says these sorts of things. I thought I was stuck because it was my identity. That's just who I am. Some things have never changed. My beliefs about the world, my understanding of the world and what's right and wrong and how I want to treat others and how I expect to be treated by others, that's never changed, right? Those things you can't change. You don't even have to worry about those parts of yourself because you couldn't change them even if you tried, right? So they're not vulnerable to you saying different things or communicating in a different way. The rest of it can change. And there was one moment in my life where I saw this crystal clear as day. That was when I was new to it. I started going out and I'd been watching some videos, some of the YouTubers at the time, RSD, if anyone remembers. And I was watching this content and I was trying to sort of model these men who were starting to show me that, you know, they came from a very different upbringing and yet they were able to act this way. And it didn't seem, it's like I could see both sides of them. I could see the sort of slightly geeky, low self-esteem old version, then I could see somewhat performatively, but this new avatar that they were stepping into. And so I wanted to test that for myself. And being a shy, reserved, not wanting to interrupt anyone or get in the way, I went out and I saw a very, very attractive, probably mid-30s, but in her element, let's say, curvy woman. And she was strutting past, you know, she knew she looked good. And I, as a 19-year-old kid, went up to her and I said, "Excuse me, I just saw you walking past and I want to put a baby in you." And I was doing this as an exercise in rejection, right? At this time in my life, I was manic with cold approach. I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to try everything. I was willing to suffer so much and go through so much discomfort and psychological pain in order to improve. But I wasn't convinced that I could change, that I could be different, that I could act differently, fundamentally. And I said this expecting her to slap me or to scoff at me and walk away and see straight through me and see that I was just a sort of insecure kid trying to hit on a woman who could do much better and who's got more life experience, all of those thoughts running through my head. But when I delivered the line, I went for it. And this woman looked at me, squinted her eyes and said, "Oh yeah? And how would you like to do that?" And in that moment, everything changed, because in that moment I realized that the way this woman was looking at me was not the same way I saw myself. Therefore, there were two versions of me, right? There was my version, the sort of goofy, slightly awkward, naive, young, inexperienced guy. And there was her version, which was the sexy younger buck who'd come up with minerals, with confidence, and given her a compliment. And I didn't take it anywhere. I was too nervous to message her. I was too overwhelmed. But what I learned was that neither of our ideas of me were right. Neither of us knew, right? I wasn't right about who I was because I'd just proven myself wrong. I'd said and done something that was outside of my paradigm of what I thought was me. And she was looking back at me in a completely different way still, which was overestimating me and looking at me as someone who probably knows exactly what he wants and doesn't care and likes older women. And so if neither of those were correct, why would any other version be correct? There is no identity there. And this is the fundamental point. There is no identity in the way that you understand it, right? If you were born in Brazil, you would speak a language of emotion. You would tell everyone, "I love you." You would be more sensual. You would be louder. You would be much more communicative. If you were born in Germany, you might struggle to flirt in your language. As I understand it, the German language is not very conducive to sexiness or to a sort of attractive, flirty conversation. This isn't you. This is just where you were born and the language you speak, right? And when I went to Brazil, I saw this even more. That as I learned Brazilian Portuguese and I learned the tonality, flirting became way easier because the language is designed for it. Because the culture is so sensual that the language is adapted. They've created new words in Portuguese that the Portuguese don't use because they don't need to express that emotion or that sentiment. And in Brazil, they did. And so they modified the language to fit their sort of style of communication and way of being. So the fundamental point here for you guys is do not let your mind fool you into thinking that you are Tom, Ben, Sam. You are this way, and that saying that thing or doing that thing is not you, right? As if it threatens your identity, as if you are, you take the moral high ground. No, I want to be true to myself, so I won't say those things. No, that is, I want to feel safe, I want to feel cozy and comfortable, and so I'm going to gaslight, right? people who have the confidence, or the version of me that can change, that can be creative, that can step outside the box, that can take the leap. I'm going to gaslight that version of myself into keeping him normal. And the same is, you have to be very careful that the same is not true for the people around you. If you see one of your friends or someone you know acting differently, don't judge them as if they are lying to themselves and making a fool of themselves. It takes courage. And maybe it's a small kind of mania as well, and it can be destabilizing to lose touch with that fake identity that we held so close. But we should be encouraging this, because it's through stepping into different avatars and different identities and different modes of being that we're able to see the full spectrum of what we can be, right? Of how we can be, of the ways that we can show up in the world, right? The more you can do that, the more you can step into these different avatars, the more freedom and tools you have available to incorporate into the way that you're going to show up today, tomorrow, the next day, and for the rest of your life. It's so powerful once you understand that for most of your life, every day, you're living in an avatar that is not of your choosing. You're living inside a pattern of behaviors and actions that you did not decide. And if you could pick from all of those available, you could see them all, experience them all, you would not pick the ones you have right now, right? And to understand that this is not about changing yourself, because the only relevant self, in the way that you understand, the only meaningful self is unchanging and unchangeable. It is not in our control to change it. The rest of it, anything that can change, you can test and you can explore and you can step into different modes. The serious entrepreneur, the fun, outgoing guy, the clown and the jester, the sexy, mysterious guy, all right? And again, it's not about trying to be cool. It's about exploring modes of being in the world and ways of communicating, right? This is persuasion. You need to be different people around different people, and you all are naturally. Around your guy friends, you're one person. When you're drinking beers and talking, or you're going on holiday with your friends, around your parents, your grandparents, you're a slightly different person. We all adapt to our surroundings, right? So don't let that nonsense control you. And I had to drill this into the clients on the Warsaw Bootcamp so much of, don't worry about your identity. Your identity is taking care of itself. It's unchanging. All of the rest of this stuff, you go up and say that thing, and you will be better. You will see more, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it doesn't land, even if you felt that not in your gut doing it. You can be proud, or you can be inspired, energized by the fact that you're testing your way of being. You're testing the way that you show up in the world. So the first thing, and this, again, I'm sure this resonates with a bunch of you, because it's so easy for us to feel like, oh no, I'm just this way. I'm this person, I act in this way, this is who I am. And it's not, it's nonsense, it's ego, it's just an ego. And it's not even one that's trying to elevate us, it's just an ego that's trying to avoid change at all costs. The second thing is feeling, right? And I really noticed this on this boot camp, was conversation, walking through the streets, asked my guy, like, let's go, man, how's it going? Let's get this done. It's like, I'm feeling like this. I'm not feeling very confident today. I'm feeling a bit nervous. I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. And this word feeling comes up over and over again. And that's not a bad thing. And again, I get it. We all feel ups and downs. And some of the downs can feel overwhelming. And some of the ups can feel incredible. But the mistake is letting the way that you feel dictate what you are going to do, right? And the reason why this is so important, and it's something that you can actually control, is that your actions lead to different feelings. And this may sound obvious, but truly pay attention to this, because it's one thing to, oh yeah, your actions change your feelings. It's another thing to implement that and to say, wait, hang on, my actions change my feelings. The next thing that I do will influence the next way that I feel. The next thing I do is going to change the way I feel. Therefore, the way I feel right now is just a result of the last thing that I did. And this is why it's powerful. In this context, dating, cold approach, partner acquisition, finding a woman, finding a wife, finding a date, sleeping with someone. You act first, and then the feeling changes. I feel shy. I feel tense. I feel nervous. I don't feel good today. I don't feel like I can do it. And all of these feelings can arise in your mind as you're walking up to the woman And when you get in front of her, you're going to open your mouth and some words are going to come out, and the way that you feel is going to change in that moment. Now imagine understanding and knowing that all that time that you were feeling bad and so you didn't do the thing, you were feeling tired, you were feeling dizzy, you were feeling confused, you were feeling conflicted, that you could have just moved your body with that feeling in a different way. You could have thrown your shoulders back, smiled at the world. You could have walked up to that woman and told her she's beautiful. And the moment you did it, you would have felt different. So these two insights were the most powerful thing. And when we fixed or not fixed, because these are going to return, this isn't something you finally overcome. This is something that you work on, that you overcome on a day-to-day basis, that you become habitualized in your recognition of the futility of feelings and the falseness of the identity that you've assumed. And so when this is drilled in for the clients and they say, I'm feeling a bit, and then they look up and say, that's not important how I feel. I can feel that thing and do what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. Everything gets better when I go and talk to the next woman. It really is that way. With Cold Approach, it doesn't matter what you feel. The next conversation that you have will make you feel better. It's almost guaranteed. It would have to be the worst one imaginable for you not to have a better experience after having done it than you were having before you did it, right? I've learned that I cannot teach a guy anything about Cold Approach and that it's valuable unless they are approaching. So the sessions go up to her and give her a compliment, come back and I can teach you something, right? Next time, go up and give her a compliment, have a short conversation. When you come back, I can teach you something. Because only after you've acted is your mind prepared to receive and to implement the information. If you just say it to someone, it's like reading a book. The book never gets acted on, doesn't mean anything, forget about it, or recite it in the sauna to a bunch of strangers, but it doesn't change your life. But if you start the business or you go and approach the woman, and then you learn the thing, it resonates because you were there, it was visceral, you felt it in the moment, and now the information is sort of informing action as opposed to just sitting in your mind collecting dust. So for all of you guys for whom this resonates, and I believe it will be many, many of you because these are universal lessons and they are unanimous. These apply to all of us as men. When you go out today, it's a Monday today, but when you go out today, tomorrow, on Wednesday, on the weekend, your identity is not the way you think it is. Say something that doesn't feel comfortable. That is a reflection only of your courage to step outside of the safe avatar. And when you get a feeling, I feel heavy, I feel tired, I don't feel like it, at least feel that thing whilst you're taking the action you need to take. So I'm going to be in Warsaw for another week and a half. It's an incredible city. I'm very, very glad to be back here. I've got a lovely apartment with views in every direction, a huge and great community here, local guys who've shown us the secrets of Warsaw, and they're really on it as well. Guys that are cold approaching at a very, very high level. Entrepreneurs, we've met some French guys here that are entrepreneurs and they're doing cold approach. I've got my English guys here, Luis, my business partner. We're having a great time here. So anybody that feels like, Sam, this hit me, this resonated, I want to get out of here, I want to open my mind, I want to blow this thing up and really make the most of this time. We're going to be in Warsaw for another week and a half, so I'm looking for 3 clients to fill this time. I want it to be personal. I don't want it to be just me sending you in and doing this and that. I'm really interested in the fundamental changes at the moment, and I've got a very, very good read on my clients at the moment, and on specifically these parts, how to fix these psychological glitches and little hurdles in their mind to unlock that potential. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of you guys in Warsaw. I'm going to be releasing more content from this location as well. I've got a nice little setup here, great friends, great community. It's going to be a blast. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. See you in the next video. Sam out.